Yeah, well, so the worker bees behave differently around the queen, and you kind of know, like, if you have a queen excluder in, you know she's going to be on one side of it.
She, like, I keep, like, looking at her, and, like, you can see, like, they're kind of, like, moving, like, she does stand out. Like, she's bigger.
Yep.
And you said, you can see, like, you guys put, like, what, a green dot on her?
Yeah, so we get, like, little paint pens, and we just put a little blob of color on the back.
So before you do that,
you have to find her without.
You have to find her, and then she is bigger.
It's really a skill.
But it's hard.
It's a skill you get better at over time.
Okay.
If you look at enough frames of bees, you kind of learn where the queen's going to be. And the key I found is to kind of unfocus your eye, because if you're staring at every individual,
It's like one of those puzzles that, like,
it's like trying to find Waldo. You can't look at every face. You got to kind of just like focus.
Stand back, cross your eyes. You just unfocus.
Cool. All right, welcome back to the Brew Dat Podcast. I'm your host, Richie Tevlin, and today we are with Steve and Walt from Revolution Bees Meadery. Going to teach us all about the mead and the bees today. I hope you haven't heard that, but lots of stupid bee puns today. But you guys are a meadery out of Chester County.
Westchester, yep.
Out of Westchester. You guys have brought some medals today, so award-winning meadery. But I told you right before we started, I don't really know anything about bees or honey. I know a little bit about mead, so I want to get to know you guys, and then we'll learn all about bees, and then kind of see how that brings us into the mead.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Cool. So I guess is there a first, or who kind of came first here out of you guys?
Walt started keeping bees first.
So I've been a beekeeper for 20 years. How I got into it was, if you ever Google something, you wind up usually reading other things along the way.
Wikipedia.
So I got on this blog about a woman who was into beekeeping, and I had no interest in keeping bees, and I always thought beekeepers were a little in the head, like, hey, I'm going to work with thousands of things that can sting me and ruin my day. And it turned out it wasn't what I thought it was. So I looked up a beekeeping association, found one in Chester County, went to a meeting, met a couple people, and okay, these aren't the nut jobs I thought they were. And started with 2 hives. Now I have 40. And that was 20 years ago. And
what do you mean by a hive? Is there a number amount to like when you drive by the I don't know, and when I'm driving by the highway, I see people like have beehives in their backyard. Mm-hmm. Is a hive just one of those boxes?
So it's one tower of boxes.
Tower. Yeah. Okay.
So every tower is an individual hive. So there's only one queen for the entire hive.
Okay.
And during the summer, they'll have about 60,000 bees. During the winter, it drops down to about 5,000 to 7,000.
Wow, okay. And they can live next to each other? Is there any, they can commingle like that? Is there issues?
Absolutely. No. When we set up hive stands, we have 3-4 hives within 8 to 10 feet of each other. Okay. So we just go down the row working hives.
Okay, and what? You decided that, I guess you had a backyard and you're like...
Started in my backyard. And
how does one start to get into, being a beekeeper? Do you just buy the box?
You buy the boxes, the hive, you buy bees.
You buy multiple bees, you just buy a queen,
So there's 2 ways to do it. You can buy what's called a package, which is a queen and 3 pounds of bees, because they're sold by the pound.
Oh, wow.
Or you can get what's called a nucleus colony, or a nuke for short, which is a queen with all of her offspring. And that's about 2,000 to 3,000 bees.
What's the difference between those?
The difference is the package is a queen, and all the other bees are not related to her. They're all bees taken from a bunch of hives, shaken into a box, and the queen's thrown in willy-nilly.
Does it take them a while to get to know each other?
Yes, they do, because most everything in a hive is pheromone controlled. So every queen has a unique pheromone signature. So the bees that were thrown in with the new queen, they're used to their queen's pheromones, so now they have a new one to get used to. So it takes about 3 to 4 days, and then they'll accept her, and everything's hunky-dory.
And then acceptance rate isn't always guaranteed either. Sometimes they...
All right, back into that, I used to be on Bumble. I know how it works.
Yeah, exactly. Bumble's a great term for that, tell you.
So how long were you were doing this way before you were making mead, right? It was just beekeeping at this point?
Mm-hmm.
And then how many years were you doing it before you met?
I was probably doing... So what? It's been 5 years we've been...
Yeah, working together. I started at 19, so about 5-6 years.
Yeah, so you had been doing it for 15 years. You were the professional.
Yeah, and so I got into beekeeping. My wife and I lived in the city for a long time, and we moved out to the suburbs because we just wanted more space, and we started a big garden. And then we were like, let's get some bees for the garden so we can get more fruits and vegetables. And then I just totally fell in love with the bees. But
Does that actually make a difference? I've heard like as the secret to like growing plants is like
it's incredible. Yeah, like I'm like giving like armfuls of zucchini and tomatoes away to people at this point.
I'm laughing because I just got a whole bunch of zucchini.
Yeah, Walt got a delivery last week. Yeah,
that's so funny. So it's like steroids, I guess, for everything buzzing around it.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've noticed like way more flowers in our field behind our house and in our like garden and all that stuff. Like since we got the bees, it's really an incredible difference.
Cool. So I guess you started these colonies.
Mm-hmm.
You had the fruit. You have now vegetables and fruits and vegetables. You have the bees now, and then you're like, you have too much of this. Like, let's do something with all this honey.
Yeah. So we actually started as a honey company. So Walt and I were like making and selling honey for a couple years, and then Walt was like, hey, I can make booze out of this. And I was like, well, I love booze, so let's definitely do that. And then kind of like the rest is history.
And you guys met through, was it a bee club or?
Yeah, we met through the bee club. I actually bought my first couple sets of hives off of Walt. So.
And how many people are in the bee club?
Oh, about 500 or so.
Yeah, 500, wow. And what, it's southeastern PA or what is it?
Just for 500 for Chester County.
Yeah.
Wow.
Philadelphia has their own bee club, the Philly Bee Guild, and I'm sure they have a couple hundred.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what, you guys meet every month and it's just like kind of tips and techniques, and you guys
a lot of
exchange honey,
a lot of knowledge sharing, and a lot of like mentoring, apprenticeship. So I was actually Walt's apprentice for a season too. He taught me how to keep bees.
That's cool. Is there a type of bee in this area? Are there like different?
Yeah, so honeybees are all basically the same. There are certain like sort of differences. So like most honeybees in this area are like Italian honeybees, but there's also like Carniolan, Russian, German. They can all interbreed with each other, but they'll have like very slight differences in like temperament, behavior, ability to withstand a winter, how fast they ramp their population up and down.
Honey production also.
Honey production, yeah.
Honey. So I guess we'll get into honey production.
Mm-hmm.
How does honey production work for bees? Is like how much honey does a bee make?
So takes 12 bees to make a teaspoon of honey.
And how long does that process last?
Their whole life.
Their whole life.
Yeah.
Okay.
And their lifespan varies. During the summer, they only live 6 weeks because they literally work themselves to death. Bees never sleep. So they're always doing something.
Yep.
In the winter, there's nothing for them to forage. They have nothing to do. They'll live for about 5 to 6 months.
So do they not make honey in the winter?
No, yes and no. There's no flowers really for them to forage, but in January, February, sometimes December, there'll be snowdrops, the little tiny white flowers that hang over.
Yeah.
They will get a little bit of nectar out of that, but not enough that they can create a surplus of honey.
All right. Stupid question. What is honey?
Oh, so honey is essentially nectar from a flower that the bees have dehydrated down.
And why do they do that?
So when the nectar comes out of the flower, it's about 80% water, 20% sugar.
Yeah.
And then the bees will dehydrate it via circulating air throughout the hive and also from like the enzymes that they put into it. And they actually invert the ratio. So honey is about 20 to 15% water and the rest is sugar.
And they just do it to store food?
When it comes out of the flower and it's mostly water, that's not that'll ferment, it'll go bad. But once they get the sugar content up above, like, say, 80 to 85%, there's so much sugar, and sugar's a preservative, right? So then the honey won't actually go bad.
Yeah, I used to work at some breweries, and we would, like, pump fruit purees into, the beer to make fruit and beer. Mm-hmm. And, like, the way we were doing it did not seem sanitary. We were just, like, opening up these 55-gallon drums and, like, pumping this fruit in. But I guess the Brix content, or the sugar content was so high that it was like, nothing can survive in that anyway. So I guess that's why, honey is, shelf stable, because it's just so much sugar, nothing can survive in it.
Exactly. And there's actually a medical term, I can't remember what it is, but if you put any celled organism into honey, because there's so little moisture content in honey, it sucks the water out of the cell of whatever fell into it.
Wow. Okay.
Conversely, it will also do the same if, like, you leave a jar of honey with the lid off. It'll suck moisture out of the air and raise the moisture content of the honey and then ferment and go bad. So you always want to make sure you seal your honey jar tight.
So my honey in my house is like frozen to a brick. It's
crystallized, yeah. So that's a natural condition of honey because there's more sugar than the mix can really handle.
Okay.
It'll harden over time. And if you want to reliquefy it, just put it in a pot of warm water and just keep that temperature like 110 or below, because that way it'll still be considered raw honey. You won't cook out any of the enzymes. If you go above 110, it'll still be, you can still eat it, but it'll change the taste and you won't get any of it.
And what did the enzymes just keep it liquid?
No, it's just like the beneficial like stuff from like your neighborhood where the bees came from.
Okay, got it. So you guys have all this honey. And how many hives do you have? Do you guys share hives or
40? We trade resources back and forth if we really need to, but we kind of manage our bees independently. It's kind of like a solo operation doing bees, and we all have our own timetables.
And like, so how much time does that take to like manage a beehive?
Oh,
so like for like 40 hives, how is that like, you know, you could just like do it in your free time, or is that like a full-time job to like manage?
Oh, you could totally do 40 hives in your free time. And the time period really depends on the season. So from like November to March, you're basically doing nothing. You maybe check on them once to make sure they have enough food. And then once like from like late March to like say mid to late May, they need a lot of attention because there's so much nectar coming in and they're building their population so rapidly. You have to like increase the size of the space that they're in. But once you kind of...
Yeah, and what is managing? You say increase the size. Like what are you doing?
Oh, yeah. So like Walt said earlier, you know, the hive population will go from 5,000 in the winter up to 60,000 in the summer. And so, you know, and you asked earlier, like, what is a hive? It's that stack of boxes. We change the size of the stack based on the population of the hive because you want to make sure they have the right amount of space. If they have too much space, they can't heat it and cool it properly, and they can't defend it from like pests.
Yeah,
they have too little space. They're packed in too small of a space. They'll swarm, which is when half the bees and the queen leave the hive for another location. Then they raise a new queen in the original hive.
So I was asking this before. I was on ChatGPT earlier today. I was like, what questions should I ask these people? I don't know anything about bees.
Yeah.
And just like ask them about swarming. So swarming is when it's just like, you know,
half the bees leave with the queen.
There's not enough resources, not enough space. So like, let's go.
There's too many resources, not enough space. Yeah.
That's one of the reasons. The other thing is that's the natural way that they propagate the species.
Yeah.
So even we could do everything right. Some bees are more prone to swarming, and they need like, hey, you know, we need to increase our numbers. Okay, time for half of us to go and set up a new colony somewhere.
So new queen always leaves, or queen stays and some people leave, or do they like hijack the queen and then
old queen leaves?
Yeah,
okay,
and then the existing colony raises a new.
And does she force that, or all the worker bees are like, you're coming with us, like we need to go?
The inside of the hive has a really interesting power dynamic where like the queen's like the most important bee, but she kind of is run by the worker bees. So they feed her, they clean her, they kind of tell her what to do. If her egg production drops down, they'll kill her and raise a new queen that can lay the amount of eggs that they want. So it's mostly the worker bees.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So we got in a little bit of the violent life of the queen before. Can you walk through like the life of a queen?
So life of the queen.
So there's a hive, but there's no queen. We just saw a swarming action happen.
Okay, so the raising a queen. So what'll happen? The queen leaves. The rest of the workers pick 3 up to a dozen eggs, and they feed them what's called royal jelly. It's super, super packed honey, I guess you could say. There's a different explanation, but it's the easy way to explain it. And because it's all these extra nutrients, that larvae develops into a larger bee, which becomes the queen. Because there's multiple queens, the first one that emerges, her first instinct is to seek out the other queens or the queen cells and kill them.
That's insane.
So after that, she then goes on a mating flight, will mate with up to 15 different drones, and that's the only time she leaves the hive.
And drones are just
the male bees.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the only thing drones...
female bees or
all the rest of the bees are females.
Yeah.
And drones do not sting. They don't have stingers.
All right. So there's what do the drones do? They just wait to
mate.
Yeah.
And then they just die if they don't happen, and then they just sit around.
They die when it happens, actually.
Because they're little
stinger
thingy.
Out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in bee world, you don't get a stinger. You either get a stinger or a penis, basically. So it's one or the other, and they're both used one time, and once they're used, they fall out.
Oh my god. Okay. And what's the ratio of like drones to worker bees?
It's about 20% in a strong hive. Yeah. And they usually only lay drones like once like the nectar's really coming in and the hive's like full of resources because
it's just a waste.
And drones don't do anything other than consume resources. They
mate.
They eat and mate, right? So when like
not bad.
Yeah. It's not a bad life up until the end.
Okay. And then I guess how long does a queen bee last? Because you said in the summer worker bees last about 6 weeks. And in the winter, a couple months, you said?
A couple months. Queens will last years. I've had queens last more than 3 years, but that's rare. It's usually around 2 years that they run out of eggs and sperm, and the rest of the hive goes, okay, you're done. You're out of here. And
does the quality, excluding all external factors, are there queen bees that like, this is like my money queen bee?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And in fact, we make new hives every year because you assume you're going to lose, 10 to 25% of your bees every winter. So we always have to make up new hives. And when we're doing that, we pick like our best performing hives, basically like who produces the most honey. And that's what we make our new hives from, because you assume like there's something in the genetic stock of that queen that, makes her worker bees just bring in more honey.
Very interesting.
So we're kind of backyard geneticists.
Yeah, we're like selective breeding our bees.
Yeah, that's, I've never thought about any of this stuff before. It's just, I have honey and I just get it. So what is the process of like retrieving the honey?
Yeah, so in the hive, kind of down the bottom is where the queen is laying all the eggs. That's where all the young bees are reared. And then there's what
you say the bottom. So like it's
think of a stack of boxes.
And they're horizontal.
They're vertical. So that first box or two is going to be just like the queen laying eggs, and then the young bees hatch out. Then they'll backfill that cell with another egg. Then above that, there's what's called a queen excluder, which is essentially a grate. And that grate is big enough for the worker bees to pass through, but because the queen's so much bigger, she can't pass through it. And so above that, they'll store all the honey. And the reason we put that queen excluder is because you don't want like bee larvae in your honey, right? So once the boxes above are full of honey, we take the frames out, we cut the wax capping off with like kind of like a hot knife, and then we put it in a centrifuge, spinning around. The honey flies out of the frame, hits the side of the centrifuge, down to the bottom, through a gate, through a filter, into a bottling tank, and into the bottle, and then you eat it.
So, you guys beekeepers didn't always exist, but you guys give the bees this like, honeycomb grate. Mm-hmm. Are there bees that don't exist because like were there bees that were creating this honeycomb before, or is that the worker bees just always like create the honeycombs and then fill them, and now they don't have to worry about them, so like they're just worried about...
So bees have existed for millions of years.
Yeah.
People have been keeping bees for quite a long time. The system that we use now was developed in the mid-19th century with like the vertical boxes and the movable frames. And then I'm not actually sure when the queen excluder was invented, but the way people used to keep bees and harvest honey, they basically would kill the entire hive and then just take the honey out, because there was no good way to kind of like separate the bees from the honey. But now we've got ways to do that.
Got it. Okay. So it's bees. How often do you get stung? And like, is that just like a thing that like people that aren't beekeepers think about, and you guys are just like, this is not even a big deal?
So we actually have different answers to this question, which is really funny because Walt taught me how to keep bees, but I clearly missed a lesson because I get stung like a lot. And Walt almost never.
You just taste good.
Yeah, Walt almost never gets stung. So.
I maybe get stung twice a year.
Wow.
Yeah, like once a week maybe. Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes a couple times a week. Sometimes I have a good month where I don't get stung, but
what's like the smoke spray that people use? Are you using that? Like you have like the whole get up?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we both suit up head to toe, and then like big thick boots, beyond where the suit. The smoke is actually interesting. So remember, bees have been alive for millions of years. They evolved to live in forests. So you think of what happens in a forest sometimes, forest fire. So the bees have adapted a behavior that when they smell smoke, they know they may have to leave the hive like pretty quickly. So they go in and they just kind of fill up on honey because, if they're going to leave the hive, they need to take some resources with them. They can't pack a suitcase. They're just going to eat that honey and put it in their stomach, right? So just like you after a Thanksgiving meal, you're going to be pretty lethargic. The same thing happens to the bees. So the smoke does two things to them. It makes them lethargic because they gorge on honey. And then two, as Walt said earlier, most communication happens via pheromone in the hive. So if you pump that smoke in there, it kind of disrupts their communication. So if they get a little bit alarmed, or if a couple of bees get a little bit alarmed at what you're doing, the rest of the hive, it's harder for them to sense it.
Interesting. All right. So I guess you guys are out in the burbs, out in Chester, kind of Westchester.
Yep.
You said there's a Philadelphia
Bee Guild. Mm-hmm.
Bee Guild. Is that like could I have a beehive at my house, or like are there rules Are you guarding this? Like where you should put beehives?
Check with your neighbors first. Yeah, that's always good. Always good to ask.
Yeah.
Good start. Actually, check with the Bee Guild. They would probably know. We know the codes for our area. I don't know what is in Philly, but I do know there are rooftop beehives in Philly.
Okay.
Because it's Philly, it's a lot of buildings and skyscrapers and not a lot of foraging for the bees. The Philly Bee Guild, I gave actually a presentation for mead making a couple of years ago to them. And we were talking about, how much honey does everybody make? Because that's, beekeepers like to brag about that. So they make about 35 pounds per hive here in Center City versus we get 65, 70 pounds.
Okay.
Just because we have much better foraging for the bees.
Is there regions of the world that make more or better honey?
I wouldn't say better. There's different types.
Yeah.
So the most expensive honey comes from New Zealand. It's called Manuka honey.
I had that at my house.
Okay.
My friends just gave it to my fiance. I'm like, what is this? But I remember now.
And it has extra whatever beneficial stuff from the Manuka plant.
Does it taste different?
It does. It's a very dark honey. It looks like molasses.
Okay.
Versus our honey, which is kind of almost clear. But
does it taste like New Zealand wines or anything? Because when we make beers with New Zealand hops, they taste like New Zealand white wines. So I'm wondering if there's like a terroir. Because I imagine bee honey is probably like there's a ton of terroir there because they're just eating the flowers and the plants that are around them.
Absolutely, yeah. So just like every flower has its own color and smell, the nectar has its own color, sugar content, and flavor profile. So the Manuka honey comes from the plant's called Manuka.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. So that's got its own very, very distinct flavor, which I believe is quite strong. I've actually never had it. But around here, the honey or Southeast PA, the honey goes from almost clear in early May to super dark in like September, and that just reflects like what flowers are in bloom at that time.
Are there certain flavors or certain parts of the year that are considered better or worse? Like I know there's like wildflower, elderberry. There's like different types of honey.
Oh, everybody has their taste preferences.
Yeah.
So like me, I like the early spring honey because it's very, very light and floral. There are people who love the late fall honey because it has that dark molasses almost type taste.
And what's that coming from? It's like
there's a lot of stuff in bloom in like September and August, so it's kind of hard to isolate.
So a lot of asters and goldenrods, and
I actually like the darker fall honey because it, like Walt said, it's like a more rich, complex flavor. It's almost like a jam, really good sandwich actually.
It sounds good. Okay, so you guys are both making honey. And then it's what, you guys just have so much honey? You're like, what am I supposed to do with this? Let's just start making mead?
So we're sitting around and it came up, hey, can we make mead? And I was a recreational home brewer and winemaker for 30 years. I'm like, oh, hey, I have a couple bottles in my basement. Here, try this. And Steve goes, wow, this is good stuff. Let's give it a whirl. So we start off making traditional meads, which is more the wine style. Comes in a wine bottle. It's not carbonated. And just basically honey, water, and yeast, let it ferment, turns into what, according to the federal government, it's honey wine.
Is that you guys are regulated by winery laws?
Yes,
or
so we're a winery.
Okay.
And so we tried that, and we were doing the wine strength mead. We did a 14% wine strength, and we're doing all these festivals and fairs, and we're always looking around. Oh, there's always a beer guy with cans. I'm like, Steve, we need a carbonated mead. He's like, that's a great idea. And this is where the cans came from.
And so, interestingly enough, our first carbonated one...
I'm sorry, I need to know, which one should I have?
Ooh.
We have lemon and basil, lime and mint. I'm not a mint person, so strawberry.
Strawberry is a great choice. Passion fruit's also really nice.
You said strawberry is your main flavor, right?
It's our most popular, for sure. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm sorry to cut you off.
So anyway, so we had a dry hopped, like, traditional mead, and it was actually this one. It's the same exact recipe, except we just kind of cut the ABV and carbonated it. And the reason we did it was because it was already like kind of close to an IPA, and so just changing the format, changing the ABV and carbonation kind of gets you like right next door to it.
So what is so we had Claire Trindle on. She's a Pommelier. She's a cider expert.
Oh,
so you guys are the honey expert, the mead experts. Well, is there a sting? You said you had like the wine style, so that's like around 14%, and then it's really just depending on what yeast you use, or it's like is all honey kind of the same Brix level, and it all ferments to kind of the same ABV, and then it's just kind of like whether you want to water it down or dilute it or
pretty much. Yeast has all strains of yeast have their own alcohol tolerance. So some yeast can only go to 6%, some can go to 21.
Yeah.
But also, so if you have a yeast and go to 21%, if you only give it X amount of sugar or fermentable sugar, it can only create a certain percentage alcohol.
Yeah, so are you watering down beforehand, or you like make it super strong, so like basically wine, mead, or you like a strong
we're
mead,
fermenting
and then you
to,
water it down after the fact?
We don't water it down. We ferment to 7%, or when we do the wine style, 14%. So it's all how much honey we added into the fermentation.
So then it's just like whatever residual sugars are staying in there.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there any? I guess at that point it's kind of lost its ability to fight. So like honey is antibacterial, microbial and stuff, but then after it's fermented, I guess then it has the alcohol.
Yeah, the alcohol
protects it.
Yeah, it's a preservative. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you guys are there normal yeast that you guys use? Do you guys use brewer's yeast and wine yeast?
We use a wine yeast.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Is there standard? Like a standard yeast that you guys use?
Standard for us, we do.
Yeah.
When we went through the whole process, we actually got every beer, wine, and champagne yeast available. And that was actually a fun process.
It was a long night.
It was a long night because I think we had like 300 different samples. And it was
watch your tapping.
Oh, sorry. It was 300 different samples, and it was
300.
It was the same recipe, just a different yeast, and it was amazing the difference in flavors.
Yeah. Wow. I guess it's almost a more for beer because we have different yeast, but you have like literally just the honey that you're taking. Do you have different types of honey that you're using?
So we use a blend because it just creates more product consistency.
Yeah.
Honey really has a tremendous effect on the mead itself. So if we were kind of like using our light spring honey and then our dark fall,
it'd be like a single batch, like
and it'll be night and day difference.
Single barreled version of it.
We can make some interesting meads that way, but it's just kind of like too inconsistent. For a product.
Okay, that makes sense. So how much? I guess how much volume does like what it was just.
Oh, so
a pound of...
Well, if you think about the can has about just under 2 tablespoons of honey in each can.
Oh, really?
That's about the math. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
So that's a lot more than I thought.
Well, yeah, but I mean, the yeast consumes all the sugar, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And then so we add some back in at the end because we can condition.
Yeah.
So we're actually adding a slight amount back in.
Nice. And that's how you carbonate, or you force carbonate in it?
No. Nope. Can't condition, so.
Cool. And you what's your setup look like? Does it look like a brewery or a winery?
It looks like a brewery. So we have a bright tank. We have conical fermenters.
Yeah, but so a brewery looks different than a winery. Like a winery, like the tanks are like more, they're like flat bottoms, and like you're less.
We're more of a brewery, so it's conical fermenters.
Okay.
And then standard bright tanks that you would see in any microbrewery.
Big difference with us is we don't have to heat anything up because the sugar in the honey is already like bioavailable to the yeast, like at room temperature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. I used to make cider, and it was fun brew days. We would just like mix like apple concentrate, but I imagine it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah,
just
pretty much.
Super concentrated sugar, and then you're mixing it up.
Mix it with water, pitch in yeast, and let it
rip.
So how many flavors do you guys have?
We have 8 flavors currently, and we've got a number in the lab what we're working on right now.
Nice. And then where do meads sell? Like, do you go to bottle shops? Do you go to just farmers markets?
So in Pennsylvania, we're in beer stores primarily. We also do a lot of farmers markets.
Can you sell in the state stores? Or like it's not worth it, or what are the laws around?
Actually, the state store is interested in carrying our product. They reached out to us, so we're in talks with them.
But you can sell it to both stores.
Yes.
I guess did that change the RTD laws, or you guys should sell into? It used to be like wine couldn't be sold.
Yeah, we're more like, so think about like whatever cider can do, we can do.
Okay.
That's kind of how it works. And since we're like a carbonated wine, we're kind of like in a in-between space.
A gray area.
Sold in some spots, yeah.
What are the laws as far as like taproom stuff? Like, do people even have meadery tap rooms?
Yeah, there's a couple. We're actually looking at places next week to open a tap room, so, stay tuned.
Can you say anywhere?
Like, general Westchester area. We never wanted to be close to our bees, but yeah.
People in Westchester love alcohol. That's what I was opening on my brewery last year. It's just like it feels like there's like unlimited amount of alcohol that is in the Westchester.
Yeah, so it's a fun place to hang out.
It is. Mm-hmm. It's awesome. So we haven't even mentioned you brought bees in here. So how many you brought what would you call this? Like one
frame.
One frame.
Yep. So in a normal hive this time of year, they're probably...
There's the queen.
Oh, there she is.
Right there.
So, that's about 1/30th of a hive.
Okay.
And so the hive would get maybe 50% bigger at the height of the season, and at the nadir in March, it would probably just be like 5 of those frames.
So if you're listening to this, go to our YouTube so you can see this. Subscribe first, and then check out what we have, because it is in the frame. But how many bees are in this thing?
A couple hundred.
Couple hundred. And it's in this like wooden frame.
Yeah.
Before you came here, you have like this carrying case, and you just like took it out of the box and then just put it into this.
That's what's called an observation hive. So it's made to carry 1 frame of bees, and a regular honeybee hive is going to be all wood on the outside. This obviously has plexiglass hives, so you can see in and the bees can't get out.
And then I guess you have the queen bee. Is it a struggle to find? The queen is always kind of in the same square, or you have to like kind of look?
No, you have to look around, and sometimes you get lucky and she's on the first frame you pull, and sometimes she's on like the 30th frame. You can kind of tell where she is.
Are you guys good at it? Like kind of.
Yeah, well, so the worker bees behave differently around the queen, and you kind of know, like, if you have a queen excluder in, she's going to be on one side.
She like I keep like looking at her, and like you can see like they're kind of like moving. Like she does stand out. Like she's bigger.
Yep. And
you said you can see it. Like you guys put like a green dot on her.
Yeah, so we get like little paint pens, and we just put a little blob of color on the back.
So before you do that,
you have to find her without.
You have to find her, and then she is bigger.
It's really a skill.
But it's hard.
It's a skill you get better at over time.
Okay.
You look at enough frames of bees, you kind of learn where the queen's going to be. And the key I found is to kind of unfocus your eye, because if you're staring at every individual...
It's like one of those puzzles that like...
It's like trying to find Waldo. You can't look at every face. You got to kind of just like focus.
Stand back, cross your eyes, you just unfocus.
Cool. And how long can they stay like this? Do they have to go back? Like, is the rest of this hive like freaking out? Like our queen is gone?
Within 24 hours, they're okay. So remember, back to pheromones, her pheromone will linger in the hive for a good day. Okay. But if I don't get that frame back in by like tomorrow afternoon, they're going to start making a new queen in there, and then I'm going to be up a creek. So they're going back in tomorrow morning. One thing you definitely don't want to do is open a beehive at night. That makes the bees unhappy, and then they make you. Why
is that?
They don't.
Because do they sleep? You said they don't sleep though.
No, they all come back to the hive at night. So, like, if you think about, beekeepers usually work their hives in the middle of the day when most of the bees are out foraging. So there's just not that many bees in there. So
this is all these bees here. If you go in the middle of the day, is most of them would be gone?
Yeah, a lot of them would be gone. Yeah,
like what, 50%, 80%? It's just like you can't really tell.
50 to 75.
Yeah, it kind of depends on how big the hive is. The bigger the hive, the higher the percentage of bees that'll be out foraging. Because there's a certain base number of activities that have to happen below the queen excluder, say, before they can kind of promote the bees up to start foraging for honey.
What does that mean?
So they got to take care of the young bees. They got to defend the front entrance of the hive. They got to clean the hive.
I've seen the Seinfeld movie, the Bee Movie. Everybody has a job.
Yeah.
But like you said, there's worker bees. Like, are there some bees that like they only take care of the young? There's some bees that like only go out and they like collect pollen. Like,
yeah, it's the same bee. It just depends what cycle of her life she's in.
Yeah.
So when the bee first emerges, she's a housekeeping bee and will clean up the cells, work around the queen, just stay inside. After that, she graduates and becomes a forager, goes out, brings honey back, brings honey, gives it to another bee to deposit into a cell. And towards the end of her life, then she'll become a guard bee, where she hangs out in the front of the hive and checks. They check every bee coming and going. Hey, are you part of the hive? Cool, we'll let you in. You're not? Okay, kick you out.
What happened? Like, they just say, like, they just, like, kind of buzz around them and, like, let them go? Or, like, are there bee wars?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's all pheromones.
How do bee wars work? Like, all the hives are right next to each other. Like, how do they know? Are they just like that? It's a little tiny bug. Like,
so there is some drifting because, our hives are literally 2 feet apart.
Yeah.
As long as the bee is coming back with pollen or nectar, they'll be accepted because, hey, okay, you're bringing something home. Cool, party time. Okay, we're good to go. And you're coming back with nothing. Hey, you're here. We have stuff. You don't. Oh, get out.
Yeah.
And either if the one bee can take care of it, she can. She'll sting it or just kick them off the landing board. If it becomes an issue, the bees will form a ball around the invader bee and either sting her to death, or if they can't, they'll overheat the bee. And they do this with wasps, too, because wasps are also an issue. And actually,
do wasps try to
all the time?
Yep.
Yes.
So what are the things that you have to look out for as a beekeeper?
So for pests, bees, other bees and wasps, you want to make sure you manage the size of the entrance. You want to make it big enough for your bees to get in and out easily, but without like creating a traffic jam. And if your hive is smaller, you kind of start closing up the entrance so that it's easier for them to defend. And then from another perspective, we're not in the part of the state where we have to worry about bears, so you don't need like an electric fence. But that is a problem for a lot of people. And then the big thing...
Do bears just get stung? Or like do they...
Yeah, they just
don't care?
Yeah, they just pop the lid off. Yeah, yep. It's like Winnie the Pooh, but like way more vicious. Yeah. Yeah, they can wreck a whole apiary in one night.
And do wasps and bees, do they just try to kind of stay away from each other? Like if they just accidentally happen upon...
If they both land on the same flower, they're both going to go about their business and not care what the other one's doing. It's only when the wasps or other bees try to invade the honeybee hive that they...
But why would they do that?
Because there's honey in there. Yeah.
Okay.
So usually...
They're looking for food.
Yeah. In the spring, you don't really see too many other bees trying to break into your hives, but once things start to dry up in like August, September, October, it gets pretty vicious.
Got it. So we hear about it all the time, save the bees.
Mm-hmm.
Is there actually an issue with bees, or is that like what are like the national numbers on bees? Like, is there a bee shortage right now? Like, what sort of like?
I wouldn't say there's a shortage, but there's a mite that attack, like how we get ticks.
Yeah,
bees get a mite. It's the same process, and the mite.
What are those called?
Varroa mites.
Varroa mites. And they transmit a virus to the bee, which will actually eventually kill the hive if you don't take precautions.
Can you like spray something on them to deter that, or it's like it's not, you don't want to...
There's not sprays, but there are treatments, and there are also treatment-free beekeepers, so there's things you can do without using chemicals.
Got it.
And use organic chemicals. With that, last year, the U.S. average was 50% loss for all the beekeepers. Luckily...
What do you mean 50% loss? Like
everybody lost half their hives.
Yeah.
Wow, holy crap.
Which was...
recover from that, yeah.
The worst it's been for 15 or 20 years.
A long time.
So the average is what, 20%? 25?
Yep.
20, 25. So this is double the yearly average. We lucked out.
And that's just a regional thing?
That was nationwide.
That was nationwide.
The other thing to think about is almost the entirety of all honeybee colonies in the United States are owned by commercial beekeepers that primarily provide pollination. So they're like roving honeybees that like kind of are on flatbed trucks going around the country to like when different things are in bloom. So they'll go and do almonds in California. They'll do blueberries in the South.
And what? They're just like in like a 18-wheeler truck that just like has a bunch of these on the back?
Yep.
You put a pallet, you put 4 beehives on the pallet, each facing a different direction. And then that gets loaded onto an 18-wheeler. They put a big net over it so the bees can't get out. And then it drives overnight from one destination to another.
That's insane. I've never even heard of that before.
It's wild. So every now and then you'll see a news story about a tractor trailer full of bees that topples over the side of the road.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that is. That's a pollination truck.
Wow. Okay. So I don't even know where to go from here. Like, so you guys have won some medals. So what are the medals from? They're from...
So the 2 golds were for our strawberry.
Yeah.
Actually, all the medals were for our strawberry.
Strawberry is amazing.
Oh, thank you very much. We got a gold and also a best in show in the beer, wine, and spirits competition. And for the national mead competition, we got a bronze. And our lavender hibiscus got a silver medal.
Nice. So the first one you said was the hoppy one? Or?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, this was our first flavor. Yep.
And why that? Just because you guys are beer fans and just like, why not? Or
this was our transition from traditional wine style mead into the like what we call modern mead, the carbonated version. So we had this as a traditional wine style, and we kind of like cut the ABV back and carbonated it, and it gave it this like amazing flavor.
Got it. Are there? I honestly I don't even know any other meaderies, but are there other meaderies that otherwise does everybody make a strawberry?
Fruits are pretty popular, so fruit and honey pair really well together. There's not a lot of things that don't pair well with honey. It's one of the things that makes it a great ingredient to work with. So if you look at our flavors, it's usually fruits or herbs or a combination of both because they just pair so well. But fruit's the most common for sure.
Okay. Are there mead festivals? Or do you guys just go to like wine festivals or beer fests?
We usually go to beer festivals. We do some wine festivals. Since our product is in format closer to beers, we try to go to beer festivals more.
Yeah, there's no local mead festivals. Actually, I don't even know of a national one.
There's probably one somewhere that we don't know.
Yeah, there's somewhere, but nothing around here. So, we have to go where the people are. So, introduce people to the product, and we've gotten great feedbacks.
Are there parts like are there more bees in the South or
more bees?
Yeah, more bees. Like there's just like consistent bees everywhere.
Pretty much everywhere. So it's a little bit harder to keep them where it gets colder because they need more resources to get through the winter, and the winter's longer, and there's just less things in bloom. So if you're at like the top of Minnesota, a little more difficult. If you're in like Alabama, your bees could come.
But you were saying that you like the fall type of honey, right?
Outside of Philadelphia.
Outside of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
But does that mean that like the more extreme situations are kind of like makes more intense honey, or like when you go down south, there's kind of like consistent honey, like kind of all year round?
Oh yeah, there's more things in bloom, but the honey's not going to be consistent because remember the honey reflects the nectar, and just different trees and shrubs are blooming at different parts of the year. Yeah,
got it.
Basically, every 2 weeks, something different's blooming.
Pretty much.
So
then, how do like when you go to a store and it's just like this is a wild?
That's a blend of a bunch of different stuff. So when you see a varietal honey, if you see like a blueberry honey or a lavender honey, those bees have been in a blueberry patch or on like a lavender farm, and they're foraging almost exclusively from that particular plant. And then the honey that comes in from that plant has its own distinct flavor, and then it's labeled as such. But any kind of blend of a bunch of stuff, that's just wildflower honey. Wildflower is a nicer name than plain or generic. It sells better.
I was gonna ask, like, what is a wildflower? It's just like it just means anything.
It means anything. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Then that's like the most common. That's like what, probably like 70-80%.
Pretty much.
Probably higher actually. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So like, you guys cans are very cool. I heard you guys just did a rebrand.
We did. Yeah.
Nice. They look very nice.
Thank you.
Well, what are you guys' plans kind of going forward? You guys open up a tap room?
Yep. So that's the next step is a tap room, and then just trying to keep expanding distribution. So right now we're mostly in Chester and Delaware County and a little bit in Philadelphia. So we're just trying to move kind of into Philly, into more of the ring suburbs of Philadelphia, and then maybe out to Pittsburgh, New Jersey, Delaware on the horizon.
So we've seen a rise of like RTDs in the past year. These are canned. They're 7% ABV, right?
Yes.
Yep.
So it's almost like we've seen a rise of like alternative beer things that are competitive to beer, that are like the same ABV level.
Yeah.
Like, does honey have that possibility, or honey is just like, it is much harder to make honey than it is to like grow anything else that's fermentable. It's just like an extra process. Like,
it's also a lot more expensive too.
It's way more expensive. Yeah. Does honey ever have a chance to become like mainstream, or it's always going to be this, this like, I don't want to say niche, but it's always going to be this like premium product that's like, it's just like a little bit more special.
Actually, Mead's on the uptick right now. What's the association we're part of? Brewers Association?
Or one of the craft brewers associations.
Some craft brewing association.
Is it? Mead's like the oldest thing.
It is. Yeah. It was the first fermented beverage.
Yeah.
Just because it happens naturally.
Yeah.
But the Craft Brewers Association released a survey and historical data of mead sales. And what they're saying was mead was going to be $1 billion industry in 2 years. So hopefully,
hopefully we're catching the wave at the right time. Yeah.
No, it's good. Everyone's looking for like sugar alternatives now, but it's like maybe you just need like a clean sugar.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is because of our fermenting process, and you could taste it in the products, we let the yeast consume almost all the sugar. So you get like the kind of the honey taste, but there's very little residual sugar.
It's the sensation, but it's very clean, and it just like finishes dry, but it doesn't feel dry. It's just like, it's not like a dry wine. Like,
right.
There's a ton of flavor to it.
You get the richness of the honey, you get the richness of the fruit, because we use real fruit, and then we just kind of let the yeast basically eat almost all the sugar.
And the other interesting benefit of the mead is because we're not using grains, we're gluten-free.
Yeah.
And we also use a gluten-free yeast, so we are 100% gluten-free from start to finish in the whole process.
And I guess if you're allergic to bees, there's like no correlation between like honey and actual bees.
No.
Some people are allergic to bees, but like that doesn't translate at all.
Oh no,
you can eat honey. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Don't come out to the bee farm.
yeah, of course. Like, can people visit your bee farm?
Not really.
Not really?
Yeah, it's not kind of it can get a little dicey if you don't know how to move and what you're doing. And also, we don't really have a lot of extra bee suits. You have enough for us.
Do you guys have you were his apprentice. Do you guys bring on other people?
Yeah,
we do.
Every year we take a couple of apprentices. Last year I think I had 4.
Wow, okay.
That's great. I mean, they learn from me, and I get, quite frankly, free labor. They do a lot of this lifting. It's a heavy business, so like when those boxes are full of honey, they weigh like 90 pounds.
Really?
Yeah. I don't want to be lifting that all the time, so it's a lot.
Definitely.
Yeah.
No need to go to the gym.
Yeah, that's fun. So, I guess what else do you guys have? You guys are just looking to you guys just did a rebrand. You guys are getting a tap room open, and just is there a push to get this into bottle shops anywhere? Like, do you guys sell to any on-premise accounts?
Yeah, we have a couple of bars we're in, and maybe about 10 or 12 kind of beer stores, bottle shops.
Cool.
We're expanding on.
I feel like this goes really well by itself. But this could go really well as a mix for a cocktail also.
We have someone that just created a whole 4 cocktails for each flavor. And we're going to start releasing those on Instagram in a couple weeks.
Nice.
The rest of a week. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an intense flavor, but it's more concentrated.
Yeah, it's a great base for a lot of different cocktails.
It's cool. So, are these bees asleep right now, or is that just kind of what they look like?
There's just not a lot for them to do right now. I mean, they can't fly in and out of the hive, right? So they kind of they're hanging around. This is what they do at night. They kind of just hang out.
But they don't sleep, so they're constantly moving.
Yeah, pretty much.
Doing housekeeping.
Doing stuff.
Cleaning cells.
Feeding eggs and larvae that are in those cells that you really can't see from this far away.
Are there other bugs that they have to deal with besides wasps, or it's just other bees and wasps?
Yeah, and the varroa mites, but I mean, they can't really do much about them other than kind of try to pick them off each other or get them out of the hive. We take care of them more than the bees do.
Got it. So something like this, how much if you had to have one hive, how much does it cost? Is this accessible to everybody? To get a hive?
It's a little bit of an expensive hobby, but most of the costs they're upfront. So to get started with one hive, you probably need $500.
That's not bad.
No, it's not terrible.
It's cheaper than homebrewing, probably.
That's true. And then...
But with that, your hive's going to last, if you take care of it, forever.
Yeah.
You might have to replace the bees every couple of years if you have a bad year, so it's another $150 here and there.
How often is that? And what's a bad year? Is just the weather's bad, or it's sometimes you get a bad crop of bees and it's just
it could be either or. Weather's bad, bad winter, bad bees.
The bees die over the winter. Yeah.
But like Steve was saying, we raise our own bees, so there are methods that people can do. So a backyard beekeeper, somebody with 2 hives, can absolutely be self-sustainable and not have to buy bees.
So if it gets down to negative, 20 degrees and it's an ice storm, do you guys have to go out and warm up the bees, or they just go in hibernation?
No, because during the winter they keep the hive at 70 degrees.
Yeah.
Oh, they do, just naturally?
They do. So what they do is they form a ball. It's called a cluster, and they vibrate.
Does it look weird? It looks like they all just clamp up and just...
So because we actually have to treat them for mites in December, so it's usually cold when we do that.
Yeah.
You'll just see it. They're all sitting there. You really can't see them vibrating, but they are. But you can see they're all clustered together. And as soon as you take the top off, you feel the heat coming out of the hive. Because 40 degrees outside and 70 degrees in there. So
yeah, that's interesting. So, all right. Are there questions I'm not asking? I feel like I've asked you so many questions about bees because you guys just explained so much to me. I don't.
We're more than happy to. So
yeah. We do this because we love bees. That's kind of
definitely. What do you guys have a favorite flavor? Is it just the strawberry?
So it's funny. We get that asked, we get it asked all the time when we're doing fairs and festivals and events. For me, it's all of them because we make all this. So and it just depends what mood I'm in. Which flavor I like best.
Yeah.
They really are situational, though. So my favorite, if I had to only ever have one for the rest of my life, it would be the hoppy because I just think the flavor is so incredible.
It's balanced, like you said, it's not sugary, but it kind of feels like that. And the hoppy, the bitterness kind of balances it out. But also, this strawberry is amazing.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I have that when I want to have like a little bit something sweet, but don't want to.
I think I could have 1 can of this, and I would like this a lot. But a hoppy, I could drink like 5 or 6 of these.
Oh, yes. Well, they're 7%, so good luck with that.
Oh, I like the party.
Yeah, but the passion fruit's great. It's like a sour, so if it's a hot day, like if I'm in the pool, I'll drink one of those. The lavender is like really nice. You get that herbal taste. It's kind of like a nightcap. It's very.
Yeah, it's a great color.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, the lemon and lime are fun. They're like super refreshing, and if you mix them together, it's like an adult Sprite. That's nice. Yeah,
that's good. Do you know how many calories are in these? I imagine they're pretty low, right? Because there's no sugar or anything.
I don't know offhand. We did get them tested at one point, and like the math worked out to being like the calories are almost entirely just from the alcohol. There's really not a lot left in them.
Yeah, it's probably like right around 100. Probably less.
It's a little higher than that. So just the alcohol calories would be over 100.
Oh, because 7%.
7%. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's like 7% versus a 4.2 beer is just like your alcohol versus calories is probably better than like a Bud Light or something.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well,
and it's tastier too.
Better than Bud Light for a number of reasons.
Definitely. Okay. Awesome. I guess. Do you guys have anything else you want to plug right now? Like, I've learned so much in the last hour, but I mean, is there anything else that you guys are?
Yeah, come check us out. We do a ton of events, especially.
Yeah, how do we get connected to you guys? Just can we visit you guys, follow you guys?
Yeah, so website is revolutionbees.com.
Okay.
Or on Instagram, it's Revolution Bees Buzz Mead. Then if you go to the website, you can see where we're going to be. We do an absolute ton of events every weekend, especially in September, October, November. And then you can also see like where you can find our products. We're in, like I said, in a bunch of bars and restaurants in the area, and about a dozen beer stores.
Cool. So Revolution Bees, and follow us at Brewdat, at the Brewdat Podcast. I would love, I don't know, I would love to come visit you guys.
We'd love to have you.
It's I don't know. Honestly, today I was not expecting you guys to bring the bees in, and this is like much more than I was expecting. But I'm very intrigued.
You can come check out like the fermentation operation, or we have one extra suit if you want to suit up and get some bees. We could make
go
that.
We're hands on.
Okay.
We can let the bees out here too and see how that goes.
I'm sure these are.
We were joking before, like if the conversation will just like let out the bees and let mayhem ensue. Cool. All right, well, that's all we got. Follow us on YouTube, and we'll see you guys next week. Thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
Cool.